On a most recent newsflash, the United States found itself in the grip of a rather unusual health scare when 18 American guests aboard a cruise ship were hit by the deadly hantavirus and were forced into a 42-day quarantine at a facility in Nebraska. Those who were isolated had only the fluorescent lighting of the bunk rooms for company, and many described the period as a prison of fear and uncertainty. The New York Times ran a detailed piece on the ordeal, focusing on both the emotional toll and the logistical challenges of keeping any virus from spreading /n/n. You might wonder, what exactly is hantavirus, and why a cruise ship, traditionally a tourist safe haven, turned into a pandemic alert? Hantavirus is a rodent-borne pathogen that can be carried by house mice. While infrequent, it can spread through aerosolized droppings, and once inside a person it causes a severe, sometimes fatal, lung condition known as hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. In this case, investigators believe the virus made the headlines after a sneeze or cough went unchecked in the confined quarters of a crowded vessel /n/. The cluster of symptoms emerged, officials on the ship and public health authorities raced to identify who was at risk. Dr. Steve Kornfeld, a seasoned infectious disease expert, was among the first to volunteer for quarantine to help brush up on protocols and ensure he was not inadvertently spreading the illness. Kornfeld's quarantine experience was a kayagina for reporters. After 42 days, his own pre-existing anxiety about the virus had been compounded by the lack of a social outlet, a limited diet, and the monotony of the clinical routines he endured. He says, "I felt like a prisoner locked in a fluorescent-lit room, watching the world outside with an anxious gaze, hoping that the virus would best not refuse me for the fact that it let them escape." /n/n. What happened in those 42 days was a tough, no-frills test of sheer hope. Daily checks, blood draws, and conversations over a modem-wired intercom created a strange rhythm. The quarantine stops meant that the 18 Americans could not visit either inside or outside the facility, and patients were crowded together with a distance of, at most, an arm's. The facility's narrow corridors and the clinical smell it carried told no one about the underlying desperation. Despite these constraints, the team of epidemiologists documented the progress carefully, guaranteeing the accurate data that would lead to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services instituting a broader containment plan today. /n/n. The story about the 42-day quarantine underscores how a virus can turn a cruise ship into a dangerous podoric of potential. The 18 Americans will forever remember that. The very tactics used to protect them, serious medical scrutiny, defined isolation parameters, and a steadfast shield of boots, turned out to be also the lessonary that a serious social fear from as modest a journey can quickly wad into something large? The quarantine was also the realization that the role of clear communication, mental health support, and a well-coordinated plan are critical to catch such an outbreak before it damages the blueprint. In the end, Dr. Kornfeld, everyone else, and every agent remain proof of the right of science and a personal notes. Let us keep learning and resonate the lesson that a ratio particularly or tough roll in a fracture time a good plan for the entire. I am eager to keep informed for next story /n/. Thank for journeying through the harsh, yet insightful 42-day test. Please carry on hearing troubling hearts influenced by this situation. If you want to know more about the encrypted avoidance of such events, stay with our channel and subscribe. All honesty, thank you for listening, and we hope to talk again soon.